So we're on the rebound. We're up to about $126 billion in our pension fund. We've also been trying very hard to not only earn a good return for our pension fund investments, but do some good things along the way as well. Our priority is to make money for the fund. That's our fiduciary responsibility. But we also see opportunity in doing some other things. For instance, we have made a strong commitment to emerging managers, smaller firms, very often women and minority-owned firms. We have expanded our relationships with emerging managers with our broker-dealer operation. We have a commitment of $1 billion, a new $1 billion for private equity for emerging managers. We're working on a program with our hedge fund allocation for emerging managers as well. And we have found that these programs have worked very well for us. We have achieved that double bottom line of doing very well for the fund and at the same time providing opportunity for some of the new firms. And diversity is helping us have a more diversified portfolio and one that is very, very beneficial. I want to introduce our Chief Investment Officer, Rodlin Etienne, who's there. She's the person in charge of the pension fund decisions, and it is her commitment and the staff's commitment that has made this initiative a very successful one. We also have another initiative, our in-state investment program, where we have increased significantly the amount of money we invest within the state of New York. We're close to $1 billion allocated for the in-state program. We want to recycle pension fund dollars right here in the state to help regional economies in the city on Long Island and upstate. Pension fund is an important obligation. You know, our office in the past, prior to my getting here, had some problems with how the fund was managed. We've done a lot to transform our operations, to have ethics be an important part of our decision making in addition to looking for a positive bottom line. So let me wrap it up on that. There's some other issues I could talk to you about, but instead of me doing all the talking, let me open it up to your questions. And I also want to make sure you know who our press people are, because that's certainly who I want you to keep in touch with. Ola Fedahunsi, who organized this, along with Vanessa Lockel, are standing right there. Rob Whalen is there. And Kevin Sajak is new to us, he's in the back there. And Dennis Tompkins is our Director of Communications. So, and Shannon Anderson, who's very smart in communications. And she keeps everybody else in line, right, Shannon? So before you leave, you've got Ola's card in your folder, but you might want to connect with some of the other members of our team as well, and they are here to be helpful. So any issue that comes up, call us, be in touch. If you can't find us, call Juana, she'll find us, right? But we want to be a resource for you and for your readers. So thank you for your patience, and let me open it up for your questions, which I'm certainly anxious to hear. Oh, sorry, yeah.
The governor has indicated that he will find some money to save the fares for school kids. Is that an empty promise, or what do you think?
Well, you know, there's been a lot of concerns expressed about the service cuts. But it seems to me that the issue of the passes for the school children and the cuts on Access-a-Ride are the two areas that people are most outraged about. So, you know, the way the MTA process works, they did a vote this week, but there's still another vote that has to happen. There's obviously time for some of these cuts to be revisited. It would seem to me that everyone is going to be scrambling to figure out how to save that particular service. So I don't know specifically where the money's been identified as of yet, but it would certainly not be a surprise to me that that would be a priority to have a restoration there. I think that's what many of the legislators are saying, certainly many of the elected officials for the city are saying, and there is time to readdress it. Yes?
Just a different question. Like unemployment is getting more increase every year. I have been through a couple of shelter homes. There's people unemployment and they don't have a job, they don't have food. It's getting bigger and bigger. Do you have any special plan for unemployment people or the poor people who don't have food or something?
Well, obviously the state has many plans, beyond what we do in the Comptroller's office. But I think what you're pointing out certainly verifies what we've been saying, for many months now. There may be some hopeful signs with economic recovery, but the real test of how we're doing is the unemployment number. That number continues to go up. As long as people are still losing jobs, no one can say that we're behind. This recession is behind us, and no one can say we've hit bottom yet. The fact that some folks on Wall Street may be making more money again, that's a small percentage of our population. There are still many people in the city, all across our state, that are really being crushed by this recession, and it would be of tremendous concern to all of us in terms of our future health as a community, let alone our financial health, if the economy comes back but does it in a way that we don't grow jobs again. We need to grow jobs. I was very pleased that the president, I know he's dealing with a lot with healthcare and all the other issues, but he has been talking about doing another round of stimulus money to really address the issue of joblessness. We can't say we're in a recovery mode until unemployment not only levels off, but we start to see job growth again. We're not there yet. So, that means the state is going to have more demand for services. Medicaid, will be impacted by that as more people need help. We need to be more strategic. So we're trying to do our pension fund is not big enough to solve all these problems, but that's why we're trying to invest more money within the state so that we could find opportunities to grow some of the industries, some of the new industries, for instance, in an area like the green industries, new technology, clean technology. That's the growth area for the future. It's one of the growth areas. You're seeing a lot in New York with opportunities for medical technology, biotech. We need New York to be a leader in some of these sectors of the economy. We have a smart workforce, an educated workforce, many people who are looking for these opportunities. So we need to do a lot of things. We need to balance our budget, but we also need to promote growth policies that will be part of the future of generating jobs again. Whether it's in the city or in upstate, we've had job loss, particularly in the manufacturing area. Some of those traditional manufacturing jobs will probably never come back. We've seen some job growth even during these tough times in areas like education and healthcare. We need to build on those growth areas. We need to do more to work with our universities that are developing through research, new products, new technologies, and grow those jobs here in our city and our state.
Hispanic immigrants on the economy of New York State. Can you cite some figures that would shed some light on that impact?
Tom, would you repeat the question?
Yeah, the question was on the impact of the Hispanic community, Hispanic businesses on the economy. I refer everyone again to the report that's included here that has some very specific information based on the most current data that we have. And my guess is that as we move forward and we get more data, we can update this. But what we saw in here, again, the figures from R02, but Hispanic businesses in our entire state total over 160,000 businesses. That represented an increase over the prior 5 years of 57%. So I know we've had a tough time with the recession, but I'm sure we've seen growth, since that time. And sales for Hispanic-owned firms in New York also increased, an impact of over $12 billion. So a very significant impact. We certainly know that the Hispanic community as a population center is growing in our state. We're seeing it with the business activity as well. And a heavy emphasis on smaller businesses, smaller firms. I would note that some 73,000 Hispanic firms, we note in our report, were owned by women. Another interesting trend, perhaps a little different for this community perhaps than some others. So strong presence in New York City, strong presence in service industries, and we want to periodically update snapshots like this, not only for the Hispanic community, but for other communities. We're also working more broadly, we were talking about earlier, on an analysis of immigration, in our city, in our state, and impact as far as the economy. We hope to have that